Hi everybody. This is going to be a rather lengthy video, but what I want to show off is the study hall system that I created for our school when we moved from first class to Google to allow teachers the ability to assign study halls and then to have kind of a closed loop um, system that would notify the appropriate people, including parents, teacher advisors, counselors, as well as the appropriate grade vice principal, uh, who for us deals with all disciplinary matters. So I'm going to kind of walk you through this step by step and show off as much as I can. Um, there are some limitations of what I can show you, obviously, just to protect the identity of students and email addresses and all the rest of that stuff. But so basically what I did was I created a just a study hall form inside of uh, Google Docs or Google Drive, and it's fairly straightforward, right? It's just tell me who the student is, what's the class that the incident occurred in or that the study hall was assigned, what's the reason, what should they be doing during their assigned study hall, what is the date of the study hall, and whether or not they have contacted the parents, which is a requirement of our teachers if they are assigning the study hall. Okay, so far so good. Now, uh, rather than just have a link to a forum, we have embedded this into our staff hub. Uh, it's kind of our one-stop shop for everything that happens inside of our school, so it's nice and easy for the teachers to find it. So here we are on our staff hub. This is under our staff pickup, amongst other things, but here's our study hall form, a little bit of information at the top. But so teachers are just going to come here, fill out this form really quickly, and then also at the bottom of that, and I'll show you guys how we did this. Once you assign a study hall, it's going to actually create a calendar entry for those kids and the appropriate date as well, so that whoever's in charge of our study hall, it's a nice, easy way for them to see who's supposed to be there. And then also it's a way of the teachers ensuring that that study hall was assigned properly. Okay, so again, we have embedded this into our staff hub just to make it nice and easy for teachers to access it. They don't have to go looking for it everywhere. Okay, so we used a variety of scripts to accomplish this, and I'm going to try my best to explain each of those scripts without doing a how-to on using those scripts. So the most important thing is I'm going to jump into the responses or the spreadsheet, the backbone of this form, so that we can see what's going on behind the scenes. Now again, a lot of this content is going to be grayed out or blurred out to protect the identity of our students and parents and all the rest of that stuff. But what you'll notice at the very top is I have two different scripts installed onto this particular sheet. Form Mule, which is, in my mind, the most powerful script that I have used in education, and it seems that anytime I want to do anything automated, I always fall back on Form Mule. We'll talk about Form Mule in a second, and then Form Ranger. Let's talk Form Ranger first, because Form Ranger gives us the ability to preload content into our form. So the one thing that I was worried about when I first started creating this was, how was I going to be able to associate data from our student information system if teachers were like typing in last name, first name, or if it didn't match exactly what our student information system had for those students. Like some of them go by different names than they use in the classroom as well. So I needed to ensure that we had a way that teachers could select a student and that particular entry would match student information, so that we could associate it with other data in our system. So Form Ranger basically allowed me to do that. So if I just open up the Form Ranger, let me just show you the form items that it has. So let me just click on it. Okay, and so basically what this is saying is question 1, which is the student right here, it is going to populate the options from the sheet master. Okay, so if I come down here, I've got a master sheet. So let me just close this down for a second, go into the master. Okay, and you can see that this is data that was inputted, or I should say exported from our student information system. So this is directly off of our MX records. So this is the student name, their grade, their ID, their teacher advisor, and then parent email if we have it in their system. Now this is all important information because I'm going to use this later in the process. So I needed to ensure that when we picked a kid, say like Bart Simpson, that this data would be associated with that, so I could come back to it. So what happens is if I come back into the study hall, okay, and I click on a student, what's going to happen is it's going to bring up all of those pre-populated items, okay, from the actual master list. So, you know, if a kid withdraws or we get some new additions to our school, all of that content is going to automatically get updated for me. I don't have to re-enter it one by one. And we all know that when we're creating a form, adding multiple choices for like the multiple choice questions as an example, it could take a really long time, especially if you're in a school of 1,500 like we are. So Form Ranger saved us a tremendous amount of time because we could just get the student records exported from our MX records and then pre-populate this particular question in the form with all of those student names. So, and again, this is going to ensure that we have consistency across the board, and we're going to be able to associate other pieces of data with these names as well. So let me come back in here. So that's Form Ranger. That's what we used it for. Okay. Okay, so we've got all that stuff. Now, the next thing that I did was, okay, remember the data that we have is the student name, the grade, the ID, the teacher advisor, and the parent email. What I needed to be able to do was to, when a study hall was assigned, we want to be able to email the TA as well as the appropriate grade VP and counselor. So that's what the VP cons down here was. So basically what I did was I just created a code that said, okay, what grade are they in? So we split up our kids by, the VPs each have either 10, 11, and 12, and then we split the grade 9s, either 9, A through F, GO, or PZ. So what I did for each of those was I assigned the vice principal and the counselor that are responsible for that particular grade and put those email addresses in. So again, you're going to see how we're using that in a second here as well. The next thing was the teacher email as well. So same thing, I took the TA name that came from our student records that was associated with that name and then applied the teacher's email address beside that. Okay, so far so good. So now if I come back into my master, or sorry, into my submissions, let me just scroll across so you can see what's going on. Okay, so the parent email we already have, that came from it. The grade, again, we are pulling all of this data from that master sheet, and I am basically just using a bunch of codes here. So I'm using a VLOOKUP where it's looking up content from the master sheet. Okay, so if you haven't used VLOOKUP, there's lots of documentation on the web on how that can be done. Okay, then same thing, I did it with the grade as well, did it with the TA. So again, I am pulling all of the data. Basically, these things are, all of these codes are saying pull data according to the student name. And again, we're pulling that off of that master sheet. So I'm grabbing all of these values off of this spreadsheet and applying them when an entry comes in. Okay. So then for the VP contact, I also created a second one just so that, and the code here is quite complex. I actually had to get somebody on the Google Forms to kind of help me with it. But what it's saying is that you're going to look in this column, the grade column, and if it's grade 9, you're going to take the kid's last name and determine whether it falls in the A through F, the G through O, or whatever. So this is giving me a label, which I'm going to use label later during the automation process to send out the information appropriately, again, to the VPs and counselors. So I'm just creating a label here that is searching this, looking for the value here, and if it's a grade 9, then we're going to, again, go with their last name as well to see whether they fall in the A through F, G through O, P through Z example. And then in here I have the VP email as well, so I've put in those VP emails like we pulled down from here, and then basically just set up a whole bunch of email statuses using Form Mule. Okay, so let me just pause the video quickly and get back to this in just a second. Yeah, let me take a second here to apologize for all the blurring, but hopefully you can understand the amount of time and work that's gone into this. I didn't want to just like recreate it. I thought that I would show you exactly the operational form right now. And again, I need to always ensure that we are protecting the privacy of our teachers and students. So I do apologize for all the blurring, but I hope that you are able to see exactly what is going on here, even with the blurring. So we've talked about how we used Form Ranger to pre-populate a field inside of our form. We embedded the form into our central hub, or our one-stop shop for our teachers. And then we have set up the form, or sorry, set up the spreadsheet to associate data with data that's being pushed via the form. So we're associating other data that comes from our student information system to try to limit the number of fields that a teacher has to fill out when they submit the study hall submission form. So now what I want to talk about is, so we've used Form Ranger, now let's talk about Form Mule. And again, you can access Form Mule via the going to the tools script gallery. Same with Form Ranger, just search for them. Again, tons of documentation. Form Mule for sure. I don't know about Form Ranger, but Form Mule was created by Andrew Stillman, who works in the States for New York schools. Anyways, he is the master at creating scripts that are relevant for uses in educational settings. So I highly recommend that you check some of his work out. But basically what I did inside of the Form Mule was to copy down all of those formulas that we had before, so that as a new form entry came in, it would apply those automatically. With the new version of Form Mule, those are found under the advanced options. But if I go into the email merge quickly, let me just open that up. Okay, and you can see that we're going to send out 6 different emails based upon the value that shows up in that VP contact. So this is why I did those formulas to get that label that is 9 P through Z, because remember, for us, the grade 9s are split up between 3 different VPs and 3 different counselors. So I needed to make sure that I could separate those to send out an appropriate email to those people. So you can see I've just got those email templates. They are appearing at the bottom as separate sheets in my spreadsheet. Okay, so let me just close that down. Now let's open one up to see what it looks like. So I'm going to hit the grade 12 one. And when you install the Form Mule, you're going to get these created for you automatically. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to have it the reply to field is going to be the person who actually submitted the user form. Now, we get this data because we are a Google Apps school. So on the form, a teacher has to be logged in order to use the form, and so I can collect that email address automatically from them. So that's what that username is right there. And then we're going to send it to the VP mail. And remember, if I go into the VP mail, that's on my submissions form. The VP mail, okay, is right here. And again, the code for that is it's V looking up, or it's using the V lookup to pull off of the VP cons sheet that I have down here, which basically says, okay, 9 A through F, here's the VP and here is the counselor, and I guess, and again, you can see all the rest of those. And then we are going to CC it back to the person, so they're going to get confirmation that they submitted a study hall. We're going to send it to the TA, their teacher advisor, and we're also going to send it to the parents if they have an email on file. The subject is just going to be study hall assigned, the kid's name as well as the grade. And then the body is going to be the student has been assigned a study hall for whatever class it was because, and again, we're pulling that data that they submitted via the form. And then the assigned study hall will take place on the date that they selected. Just a quick reminder of when our study hall times are, and then what the student should be doing during their study hall. And then again, Formule gives you the ability to create case numbers for each new entry, which comes in really handy because now we can always refer back to those case numbers in case there's ever discrepancy or whatever else. So we use those case numbers a lot as well. So just like that, as soon as an entry comes in, it's going to generate this email that's going to get sent out to all of the appropriate counselors, vice principals, teacher advisors, and then parents as well. So fantastic for, again, getting as many people involved in the communication loop as possible. So next we are going to talk about how it will automatically create a calendar entry and how we use those. Okay, now within our main school Google account, we've created a calendar that is called Study Hall. I've just created a Study Hall sample one for to show off here, but if I click on our actual Study Hall, it's going to show all of the study halls that have been submitted for the upcoming dates. And by clicking on one of those, it'll actually take you into the details. And again, you can see that the description is actually going to give us the case number as well as the teacher that assigned it and the work that the kid should be completing, so that whoever's in charge of supervising our study hall has all that information with them. And if you look, we always do it with the agenda view. We prefer, because like when you click on it, then it just gives you kind of like a quick overview as well. I will point out though that you're not going to get the details if you do that, but sometimes it's just easier for them to just visually go over the list this way, a little bit simpler. Okay, so let me just turn that off quickly, go back into our week view here, and then come back into our study hall form and go back under the formula, and step 2B is set up your calendar merge. So basically what you do is you click on that. Okay, and we always just want to make sure that we turn on the calendar event merge feature, and then we want this to trigger every time a new form is submitted. And then we just leave the event condition blank because we want this to fire every single time. Okay, so now the first thing it asks for is the calendar ID. And again, you can grab the calendar ID, which is why I created this sample one over here, by literally clicking on it and going into the calendar settings. And then at the very bottom right here, you have the calendar ID that you can select, and you basically just copy and paste, well, not the calendar ID label too, but you copy and paste that and throw it in right here. And then for the event title, we just chose, I want it to display the student's name as well as their grade. So that, like, just a quick overview. This is the kid that's supposed to be there. This is the grade they're in. The start time is going to be that assigned study hall date that was given in the actual form itself. Now, I played around with this a lot, but I found that the best way, because we have predetermined study hall days like Wednesday, or Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday are all after school, and then Monday, Wednesday, Thursday are after school, Tuesday and Friday are in the morning. So we just assigned a date that the kids have to show up. So it just tells them what the date is. And another reason why I included the times in that email as well. And then I put in the case number. And you'll notice we didn't talk about them. Again, this is not a tutorial on how to use Formule, but you can grab any of the data that exists inside of your spreadsheet and be able to apply that either into those emails that we were talking about or into the calendars here as well. So, and then work to be completed as well. So we also set this as an all-day event so that it would show up in our calendar because we're not assigning a specific time. So basically that's it. So now if I showed you that we've got the, oops, where am I? Right here. If I come back in, you can see all of the study hall entries that are all right there. So far we have, I've showed you guys how to create a form, pre-populate one of the fields with student information, use VLOOKUP as well as a couple of more advanced codes to associate data from that form with data coming off of your school MX records, and then creating emails for that communication system to email the appropriate people, create calendar entries that your whoever is supervising your study hall can use to monitor and track whether they are there or not. Finally, what I'm going to do is show you guys what we are using to what happens if a kid doesn't show up to their study hall. How do we go about making sure that everybody's in the communication loop with that as well? So that'll be up right after this quick break. Yeah, really quickly before we jump into how they are monitoring whether the kids attend or not, I thought I would just quickly show you the templated email, what it looks like when it shows up. And again, remember that this is being sent to this is going to be sent to the TA, the original teacher who assigned the study hall, the parents, the appropriate counselor, and vice principal. So you can see it's pulled all that data. Kid's name has been assigned to study hall in math 20-3 because of skipping. The science study hall will take place on Monday, November 25th, 2013. Unfortunately, I don't really know how to get rid of the timestamp at the end, so I'm still kind of working on that. But the important thing is the date. Our study hall times are as follows. The kid's name should use his or her study hall time to complete whatever the assignment was. In this case, it was page 149 in our workbook. And then for reference, the case number for the study hall is 179. So you can see that that's the 179th one that we've had. So that's the template email that's going to go out to everybody, just so you get an idea as to how that looks. Okay, and finally, how do we record whether a kid, or if a kid doesn't show up, and how do we, again, make sure that the appropriate people are in that communication loop? So we've created another spreadsheet called no-shows that I have given access to whoever the 2 or 3 people that are responsible for supervising study hall. They're the only ones that can view, edit, or make changes to this. But basically, it looks like this. And a couple of different things going on here. The first thing that I wanted to do was ensure that the people supervising the study hall didn't have the ability to mistakenly delete any of the work on the original study hall form that's collecting all that data. And again, because we have multiple people that are using it, I needed to ensure that this would be a standalone sheet, that if any mistakes were made on this, it wouldn't affect the original content. So basically, what's going on here is I'm using the import range query to pull whatever data I want from that original spreadsheet, data that I will need for if the kid doesn't show up, and then basically just left a column on the far left open, in that if the kid didn't show up, the supervisor just types no show, and that's going to start that automated process for us again. And that's why these case numbers become so important, because if a kid doesn't show up to study hall, again, the supervisor, when they go off of the actual sheet, when they click on it, the very first thing they see is what the case number is. Okay, and so when they go into here, they can just quickly scroll down the side to find what that number is. Okay, find that number. So let's say it's 145. Okay, and then just type in no show. And then basically what Form Mule is doing is it's saying, okay, I want to send out a templated email when no show appears in this column. And then it takes all of the data in the same column and uses that to email out that confirmation that the kid did not show up. Okay. At which point now the TA, the original teacher, the parent, and the counselors and VPs have been made aware that the kid missed the study hall, and can apply an appropriate consequence, whether that's redoing the study hall or something more severe. I think that's it. I hope that you guys, for those of you guys that have stuck around for 25 minutes or however long this video is, I hope you can see the power that Google Apps and Google Scripts can give to teachers and administrators to create automated systems that before you either needed to get somebody from IT to create for you, or perhaps even an outside company, which would potentially cost thousands of dollars. But now, with a little bit of ingenuity, a whole bunch of help from scripters like Andrew Stillman, anything really is possible for creating automated systems within your school. So if you have any questions, by all means, don't hesitate to ask by commenting below. And I hope I hope that this will in some small way help you in your everyday administrations.